Hello, my friend, and welcome back to another exciting and transformative episode here, Decode Your English, the channel where we dive into real ideas using real, natural English. I'm thrilled you're here today. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for tuning in. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. You already know this is a space where we learn, grow, and master English together. So grab a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's get ready for something special. Today, we're exploring a topic that's not just important, it's life-changing. We're talking about critical thinking, a skill that can transform how you see the world, make decisions, and even speak English with more confidence. Don't worry if this sounds like a big idea. I'm here to break it down step by step, using clear, natural English that's perfect for upper intermediate learners like you. So, why should you care about critical thinking? Well, imagine being able to cut through the noise of the world's social media, news, opinions, and make choices that feel right for you. Sounds powerful, right? Let's dive in and discover how critical thinking can change your life. Stay with me, because what comes next might just spark a whole new way of thinking. But you're right. Let's kick things off with a big question. What exactly is critical thinking? In a world where we're bombarded with information, posts on X, videos on YouTube, news headlines, and opinions from friends, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Every day, we're hit with messages telling us what to think, what to buy, or even who to be. It's like standing in the middle of a crowded market with voices shouting from every corner. Critical thinking is your way of that chaos. It's the ability to pause, think clearly, and ask questions before you believe or act on something. It's not about being negative or doubting everything. It's about being smart with your thoughts. Like a detective sifting through clues to find the truth. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're scrolling through X and you see a post that says, "This one food will make you lose weight in a week." It sounds amazing, right? Your first instinct might be to believe it or share it. But a critical thinker stops and asks, is this true? Who wrote this? Is there any evidence behind it? That's critical thinking in action. It's like having a mental filter that helps you separate what's real from what's just nice. Now, you might be wondering, why does this matter to me? Especially as an English learner. Great question. Critical thinking isn't just about solving big problems or debating philosophy. It's a skill that helps you in everyday life, whether you're choosing what to believe, solving a problem at work, or even improving how you communicate in English. When you think critically, you ask better questions, listen more deeply, and express yourself more clearly. It's like upgrading your brain to handle life's challenges with confidence. So, let's break it down further. What does critical mean in critical thinking? When we hear the word critical, some of us think of criticism, like pointing out what's wrong. But that's not at all. In this context, critical means being careful, thoughtful, and deliberate. It's about looking at something closely, not just accepting it at face value, and thinking, well, that's the process your brain uses to make sense of the world, connecting ideas, solving problems, and understanding what's going on around you. When you combine these two, critical and thinking, you get something powerful. Critical thinking is a way of approaching life with curiosity and clarity. It's not about thinking harder or knowing everything. It's about thinking smarter. It's a habit, a skill, and a mindset that helps you make better choices, avoid mistakes, and grow as a person. Whether you're deciding what to eat, who to trust, or how to respond to a tricky situation, critical thinking gives you the tools to navigate life with confidence. Let's take a moment to explore why critical thinking is so important today. We live in a fast-moving world, don't we? Every day, we're flooded with information, some of it true, some of it not. You see a headline that makes you angry, a post that sounds too good to be true, or an opinion that everyone seems to agree with. It's tempting to just go along with it, to react quickly or follow the crowd. But here's the thing, not everything you see or hear is worth believing. Some messages are designed to grab your attention, make you feel a certain way, or sell you something without critical thinking. It's easy to get swept up in the noise and make choices that don't serve you. Critical thinking is like a shield for your mind. It helps you pause and ask, does this make sense? What's the evidence? Is there another side to this story? For example, let's say you read an article claiming that a certain drink can cure a cold in 1 day. Sounds great, but a critical thinker would dig deeper. They'd ask, who wrote this article? Is it backed by science? What do doctors say? By doing this, you protect yourself from misinformation and make choices based on facts, not just feelings. And here's where it gets exciting for English learners. Critical thinking doesn't just help you make better decisions, it also makes you a better communicator. When you think critically, you start to notice how people use words to persuade or inform. You learn to ask better questions in conversations, listen more carefully, and explain your ideas more clearly. This is huge for improving your English because it's not just about learning new words, it's about learning to think and express yourself in new ways. Let me share a quick story to show you what I mean. A few years ago, I was chatting with a friend who was convinced that a new app could make you fluent in a language in just 1 month. It sounded incredible, and I was tempted to believe it. But instead of jumping in, I stopped and thought critically. I asked, how does this app work? Has it worked for others? What do language experts say? After doing some research, I found out the app was more about marketing than real results. By thinking critically, I saved time, money, and frustration. And as a bonus, I learned some new English phrases while researching phrases I could use to explain my decision clearly. Now, let's talk about some myths about critical thinking, because there are a few ideas out there that just aren't true. First, some people think you have to be a genius to think critically. Not true. Critical thinking isn't about having a super high IQ or a fancy degree. It's about curiosity, patience, and practice. Anyone can do it. You don't need perfect English or a PhD. All you need is a willingness to ask questions and look deeper. Another myth is that critical thinking is negative. Like you're always finding fault with everything. That's not it at all. Critical thinking isn't about being a skeptic who says no to everything. It's about being thoughtful and open-minded. You're not tearing ideas down, you're exploring them to understand what's true and what's not. It's a positive skill that helps you grow, not a negative one that makes you cynical. And here's one more myth. Some people think critical thinking is only for big decisions or academic stuff. Wrong again. Critical thinking is for everyday life. It's for deciding what to buy, how to respond to a friend, or even what to post online. It's a tool you can use in small moments to make your life better. So, how do critical thinkers think differently? What makes them stand out? Well, for one, they ask great questions. They don't just accept things as they are, they dig deeper. For example, if someone says, this is the best way to learn English, a critical thinker might ask, why is it the best? What evidence supports this? Are there other ways that might work better for me? These questions aren't about arguing, they're about understanding. Critical thinkers also look for evidence. They don't just believe something because it sounds good or because everyone else agrees. They want facts, proof, or at least a good reason. Imagine your friend says, you should never eat this food, it's bad for you. A critical thinker would ask, why do you say that? Is there research to back it up? Could it depend on the situation? This habit of checking for evidence keeps them grounded in reality. Another thing that sets critical thinkers apart is their ability to say, I don't know yet. That might sound surprising, because we often think smart people have all the answers. But actually, admitting you don't know is a sign of strength. It means you're honest and open to learning more. Instead of pretending to be sure, critical thinkers are comfortable waiting for more information before deciding. Let me share another story from my own life to show how this works. A while back, I was invited to invest in a new business. The person pitching it was super excited, saying, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It sounded tempting. And part of me wanted to jump in, but I paused and started asking questions. What's the business model? Who's behind it? What are the risks? I did some research, and it turned out the business wasn't as solid as it seemed. By thinking critically, I avoided a big mistake. And you know what? That experience taught me to trust my ability to ask questions, even when everyone else seemed convinced. Critical thinkers also try to see things from different perspectives. They don't just stick to their own point of view, they ask, how might someone else see this? What am I missing? This makes them better listeners and better communicators, because they're not just focused on being right, they're focused on understanding. Now, let's be real. Thinking critically isn't always easy. There are barriers that can get in the way, and it's important to know what they are so we can overcome them. One of the biggest barriers is emotions. We all feel things deeply: anger, excitement, fear, and that's normal. But sometimes emotions can cloud our judgment. For example, have you ever said something in the heat of the moment that you later regretted, or believed a story because it made you feel good, only to find out it wasn't true? Emotions are powerful, but critical thinking asks us to pause and let our brains catch up before we act on. Another barrier is self-doubt. Maybe you've thought, I'm not smart enough to question this, or what if I look stupid? Let me tell you something. Asking questions doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. Every critical thinker starts somewhere, and the more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Then there's bias, which is when we lean towards certain ideas or people without even realizing it. Maybe you trust someone because they're famous, or agree with a group because it's what you've always known. Bias can close our minds. So critical thinkers try to notice their own biases and challenge them by looking at other perspectives. Another challenge is mental laziness. Let's be honest, thinking deeply takes effort. It's easier to just go along with what someone says or follow the crowd. But the easy path isn't always the best one. Critical thinking asks us to put in a little work, to pause and reflect instead of reacting on autopilot. And finally, there's peer pressure. Sometimes we believe something just because everyone else does, or we stay quiet because we don't want to stand out. But critical thinkers have the courage to question what's popular. Even if it feels uncomfortable, they stay kind, but they also stay true to their own minds. So, how can you start building your critical thinking skills today? The good news is, you don't need to overhaul your life. You can start with small, simple steps. Here are a few ideas to get you going. Pause before reacting. The next time you feel the urge to respond quickly, whether it's to a message, a post, or a decision, take a breath. Give yourself a moment to think, is this how I really want to respond? Do I have all the information? That tiny pause can make a huge difference. Ask better questions. Instead of accepting things at face value, try asking, why is this true? What's the evidence? What's another way to look at this? You don't have to ask out loud, just get in the habit of questioning in your mind. Consider the opposite viewpoint. If you strongly believe something, try asking, what would someone who disagrees with me say? Why might they feel that way? This doesn't mean you have to change your mind, it just helps you see the bigger picture. Reflect after decisions. After you make a choice, big or small, take a moment to think, what went well? What could I have done differently? This helps you learn from your experiences and get better over time. Listen more carefully. In your next conversation, focus on really hearing what the other person is saying. Ask yourself, what are they trying to express? Am I understanding their point of view? Good listening is a key part of critical thinking. Pick one area to focus on. Choose one part of your life where you want to think more clearly. Maybe it's how you spend your time, what you believe about a topic, or how you handle disagreements. Start paying attention to your thoughts in that area and ask, am I thinking for myself, or am I just following the crowd? Let's wrap up with another personal story to bring this all together. A couple of years ago, I was trying to decide whether to move to a new city. Everyone around me said it was a great idea, better job opportunities, a bigger social scene, more excitement. At first, I was sold. But then I stopped and thought critically. I asked myself, is this move right for me? What are my priorities? What are the downsides? I made a list of pros and cons. Talked to people who'd made similar moves and even visited the city to see how it felt. In the end, I decided to stay where I was because it aligned better with my goals and values. That decision wasn't popular, but it was mine and it felt right because I'd thought it through. That's the power of critical thinking. It doesn't mean you'll always make perfect choices, but it means your choices will come from a place of clarity and confidence. It's about trusting yourself to think deeply, ask questions, and make decisions that fit your life. Conclusion: as we come to the end of this episode, let's take a moment to reflect. We've explored what critical thinking is: a way of thinking clearly, asking questions, and making choices based on evidence, not just emotions or pressure. We've seen why it matters in today's fast, noisy world, where information is everywhere, and not all of it is trustworthy. We've busted myths, like the idea that you have to be a genius to think critically, and we've talked about barriers, like emotions, bias, and peer pressure. Most importantly, we've shared simple ways to start building this skill today: pausing, questioning, listening, and reflecting. And here's the best part: you're already on your way. Just by listening to this episode, you're thinking about your thinking. You're taking the first step toward becoming a stronger, more confident thinker. So, here's my challenge for you. Take a few minutes today to write or speak in English about a time when you used critical thinking, or a time when you didn't and wish you had. Don't worry about perfect grammar or vocabulary, just express yourself. Share your story, reflect on it, and see what you learn. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to Decode Your English for more content that helps you grow as an English learner and as a person. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences with critical thinking. Thank you for spending this time with me today. You're stronger, smarter, and more capable than you. Now, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep growing. You've got this.